Talking with the experts.
In episode 522, Callum Armstrong shares with us the actions required to succeed with online marketing that can often seem shrouded in complexity and confusion.
This is the simplest way to start if you're at the early stages of your journey. Step one, make a document. It can be a Google Doc, a Keep Note, a Word file, a spreadsheet, whatever tool you use, Asana. In there, set a few columns: problem unaware, problem aware. So people that are your ideal customers that aren't aware that they've got a problem you can solve. Problem aware, those are people that are your ideal customers that know they've got a problem, but they're not ready to buy the solution yet. Solution aware, so people that are aware of a solution and they're considering what to buy. And solution ready, those are thinking about buying. Now, put down your ideas and thoughts. When you have a chat with a customer and they've got a problem or they mention something of interest, note it down in one of those categories. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh no, what's this idea? Put it into that content box. We call it an idea farm. I got that idea from animals.co, a content marketing agency, I think in the States.
Talking with the experts.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts, where we believe that success is a journey, and every journey is easier with help from friends. That's why we bring you top-notch experts and real business heroes eager to share their lessons from the road to success. We delve into new topics each week: effective marketing strategies, innovative problem-solving, financial planning, and team building. We tackle everything you need to know to grow your business and keep it thriving. Whether you dream about launching your first startup or a business veteran looking to shake things up, we've got you covered. With each episode, you'll gain knowledge, boost your confidence, and be inspired to take action. So, grab a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and join our exciting journey. You're not alone in this. We're here, guiding you, cheering for you, and celebrating each milestone. Let's turn your business dreams into reality, starting today. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is all about business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And before we dive into today's episode, I would just ask that you support us by subscribing, by sharing, and by sending a review about our episodes, so that we can spread the message of business around the world. Today, my guest is Callum Armstrong. Now, Callum is going to be discussing with us all things marketing. He sent me a huge list of things I think that we could discuss, but I thought, no, he's such a brilliant mind in marketing. I thought we'd just touch on a bit of everything. Now, Callum is a marketing coach and he's a social entrepreneur. He has, over the past 6 years, built a content marketing agency, coached clients, and started to build a handful of companies. My goodness me. In his current role, he focuses on helping business-to-business service businesses to turn their websites into 24/7 customer-getting machines. He also runs the Reforestation Fund, a charity that uses content to share the stories of people helping the environment. A man after my own heart. Callum, after such a rocky beginning, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Rose. I'm really excited to be here, and hopefully your listeners can glean a few nuggets they can action straight away and improve their marketing. And with the Reforestation Fund, we are about to change the name of it, so it'll be less of a mouthful for future conversations.
So just tell me a little bit about that before we get into our topic for today.
Yeah, so I got into business with a very unconventional view. I thought, if I can start a business and make it really successful, I can help the environment. And so that's really what underlies everything I do. I love marketing, I love business, but this is really where my heart lies. And when I look at conservation, at least here in New Zealand where I'm based, there are so many people doing good work, but it's severely under-resourced. And if you want to have a career in conservation, it's usually a trade-off between your financial future or doing what you care about. and we're all dipping out of the same pocket of funding. So I didn't want to eat from the same table. I wanted to bring new food to the table. So I started businesses. I could go on for hours about that, but that's at a really basic level what we do and why. But we started off as trying to help consumer brands and businesses to give based on every product sold to community groups and volunteers that were some of the highest return on investment ways of using that funding. However, we found that people in general weren't aware of the problems and the solutions, and that it's almost like people in conservation and the rest of the public are speaking two different languages. So we recently, over the last few months, decided to refine our focus towards storytelling to show the stories of the heroes of our generation, the people helping the environment, so that people can become aware and then they can decide if they want to take action or not.
Sounds like a really worthwhile project that you've begun, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it develops into the future. Callum, tell me about marketing, online marketing specifically, because I think most of us now are not so much bricks and mortar and more online. Well, as an entrepreneur anyway, I find that online businesses are flourishing, and there seems to be more and more coming online every day. How can we?
Sorry.
You go on.
No, you go. Sorry.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I know there are bricks and mortar businesses out there, and I know that, but their marketing funnel is a lot different than an online business. So how can an online business, especially if they're just starting out, develop that funnel? I mean, we all know how a funnel works, but how can they develop their funnel, and what strategies can they use to help them be more successful?
So I think we like to overcomplicate online marketing, and us marketers are the worst people for this. You scroll through your Facebook feed, and if you clicked on any advert to do with marketing, you're going to have 100 different approaches. One person says do a webinar, the next person says sell a book, the next person says this AI chatbot will fill your calendar in 90 days, and it's really overwhelming. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals have not changed. There are humans out there that have a problem and desire a solution. They are at different stages of their buying journey, from unaware that they have a problem to being ready to buy a solution and loving the product and service and telling everyone about it. And at each stage of that journey, to go from having a problem to having a solution, being aware of a solution, to buying it, they have to consume some form of information that needs to transfer, and they might make a purchase. Now, in an offline context, in a bricks and mortar business, that information would typically be done through TV ads or newspaper or radio or a conversation with your storekeeper. In an online business, it's just that the medium of information is different. It might be on a website. It might be with advertising or content. So really, it looks like a whole entire different world, and in many ways it is. But when you strip off the facade, it's pretty similar. It's the same people with the same problems, with the same resources, and the same 24 hours in every day that they want to solve their problems in.
Yeah, that makes heaps of sense, and you've got to market to the people who are going to buy your product. That's a given. But a lot of us get a little bit confused, and we cast our net far too wide. How can we narrow that down?
Yeah, well, you've touched on an analogy I love to use, the fisherman analogy, which, do you mind if I share this?
Please do.
Great. So I like to look at marketing in terms of what it's like to go fishing, because there are quite a few parallels, which helps to understand where you might want to put your attention and focus to get better results from your marketing today. So in catching fish, there are typically 3 steps. First, you need to know what type of fish you're catching. Where do they live? What size are they? Where do they hang out? What type of bait do they take? Once you know that, so in a business context, this is who are your ideal customers? Where do they hang out? How do they talk about their problems? What do they actually value in their solution? What words and emotions are they using to talk about you or your competitors? What's the pain point? Like, what is the real pain point? That kind of stuff. The second stage in fishing is to get your equipment ready. There's no point trying to catch a fish if your net's got holes in it, right? So you might weave a net. You might buy a net from the shop. You might fix the holes in your existing net. You might change your tackle. You might put a different lure on or get some different bait. And once you've got your equipment ready to go and you know what you're trying to catch, you then go out and go fishing. You try different spots, you try different times, you try different techniques and tactics. And in the online marketing space, that setting up of your equipment and your net is what people come to be converted with, so to speak. So that's your website, taking the insights you got from interviewing your customers and making sure that the messaging is a no-brainer for them. Not everyone's ready to buy. Look, they say on average 3% of your audience is ready to buy in any given moment. It can be more, it can be less, but that's a good ballpark to go off. You don't want to be hoping that the right people find you at the right time and trust you enough when they're ready to buy so that they buy from you. So you have something to catch those that aren't ready to buy yet. You have an irresistible lead magnet. This is some type of opt-in that gets their email address and they give you the permission for it. It might be an ebook or a checklist or a template or a tool or a quiz or some kind of resource that's, I like to think people would be willing to pay for, but you give them for free. And then you want to nurture them with your automated email sequence once they're on board to warm them up and build trust. So that when they're ready to buy, when they're ready to solve their problem, not when you want them to, but when they're ready to, they come to you instead of someone else. And then in the third part of the fishing analogy is to go fishing. And with marketing, that's all the tactics, that's all the shiny objects you see out there. Now, that can be paying for ads, that can be posting on social media, collaborating with other people, making long-form content, building videos. It can be one of a million and one things. And that changes all the time. And, you know, you'll see marketers that argue, should you do this tactic or that tactic? Well, most tactics work if you do them right, but that is with the caveat that you have your foundations in place first. There's no point going fishing with a broken net. Now, one of the biggest issues I see with businesses is that, especially when they're just getting started in the online space, they either go out and they go fishing with their tackle in their net that's just got holes in it, and they wonder why people aren't buying from their site. And it's like, well, you need to fix your equipment. Or they go out fishing. Oh, sorry, they build a really nice net. They have this beautiful website, but they don't get anyone to it. That's like putting your net in the shallows and a foot of water and on the edge of the beach and wondering why no fish are swarming in and saying, eat me. Same thing. So you've got to have your net, but you've got to make sure your net's for the right fish, and then you've got to get it out there in that order. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time and resources. And yeah.
Analogy, love that. So that will appeal to a lot of people who like to go fishing on the weekends, and and how they can go about aligning their marketing to a fishing trip. So yeah, well done. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so
and another thing, one of the things that you touched on was your content, social media content. How do we plan a really hugely successful calendar? How can we make it so that what we're doing is consistent and touches on those little nuggets that people are looking for?
So I will say, as a caveat to this, social media is not my strongest point. I typically go for more what I call evergreen content. So a blog or a video or a download that you make once and it's still relevant in years to come. Whereas social media, quite often you post it and it's not relevant in a week. But with that said, there are a few simple steps that people can take to do compelling social media content. Start with understanding your customers' needs. Start with understanding their problems. At each stage of that buying journey, from being unaware they've got a problem to being aware they've got a problem to being aware of a solution to buying from you, there's certain questions and considerations in their mind. Now, essentially, you want to answer those questions in your social media. Now, there are a number of ways to go about practically doing it, which I'm happy to share. But a good way to think of it is, what are my pillars? Now, if you're making a hard sales pitch in every single post, no one's going to want to hear your content, right? It's like that guy at the party that's trying to get insurance sales. You don't want to have a drink with him, right? But then also, if you're not making calls to action, if you're only just doing interesting stuff like a dance on TikTok, you're not necessarily going to move people through to wanting to buy from you. Would you like me to share some thoughts around how people can actually put some actions in place to plan and action their content?
Absolutely. Please
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Cool. So you can make it really big and fancy, but this is the simplest way to start if you're at the early stages of your journey. Step one, make a document. It can be a Google Doc, a Keep Note, a Word file, a spreadsheet, whatever tool you use, Asana. In there, set a few columns: problem unaware, problem aware. So people that are your ideal customers that aren't aware that they've got a problem you can solve. Problem aware, those are people that are your ideal customers that know they've got a problem, but they're not ready to buy the solution yet. Solution aware, so people that are aware of a solution and they're considering what to buy. And solution ready, those are thinking about buying. Now, put down your ideas and thoughts. When you have a chat with a customer and they've got a problem, or they mention something of interest, note it down in one of those categories. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh no, what's this idea? Put it into that content box. We call it an idea farm. I got that idea from animals.co, a content marketing agency, I think in the States. And just whenever ideas come up, or whenever your staff have ideas, put them into this document. Then when you go to create social media content or blog content or whatever type of content, just open up your idea farm, look for the ideas, and then decide which ones are the best fit. And then you can write about them, and you can publish it. So that way, when you sit down to do your content, you're not trying to come up with ideas, validate them, write them, edit them, design them, and publish them on the spot. You're breaking it out, and you give your subconscious some time to actually make the magic happen. That's at a simple level. There's a million and one tactics you can use, but I think it's also important to get started, because you can run around in circles wanting it to be perfect for everyone, not actually get anything out there. But it's better to do something that's 70% of the way there and learn how to improve, because you can't edit a blank page, right?
Yeah, just starting is a great place to start. Just start, and and the rest will fall into place usually. Once you put your mind to doing something, usually it will happen. So don't be shy. Just get out there and do it. You've got one of the tips and tricks to win a top Google ranking with SEO blogs, especially when you using your content ideas.
So SEO is an interesting one, and it evolves a lot. I read a stat the other day. I think it was like Google does about 3,500 changes to their algorithm every year. So it changes 10 times a day. A lot of them are super minor, but I'll share with you the fundamentals, the underlying foundations that matter. So the first thing is you have people that are searching for information. They type keywords in. That's pretty well known. Now, Google's incentive is to give people their answers as fast as they can, give them the best quality content that solves their problems or provides answers to the intention they came, as efficiently as possible, because then you'll come back to Google every single time, so they can sell more advertising to people that want to sell to you, and that's their business model. So no matter what tactic it is, that's why Google is in business. And so if you play to that, then you're good. So you can use keyword research tools like Ubersuggest or Ahrefs to see what your customers are searching for. You can see the amount of searches per month, the competition per search, if people are paying for ads on it, etc. And then from that, you can make sure that your content is targeting those keywords. But make sure that you're targeting the intent of the keyword. If someone is searching for how to tie your shoelaces, don't talk about the history of tying a history of shoes. Give them the answers, because that's what search engines want. And obviously look out for keywords that have lower competition, because if all the biggest companies in the world are targeting a specific keyword, then it's really hard to rank. But the vast majority of keywords are long tail, which means, if you think searching for Nike shoes would be a short tail keyword, millions of people search that every month. But searching for Nike trainers, size 11, women's in color pink, there might be 10 searches a month, for example. So it's going to be a lot easier to show up for that. So the first thing, I guess, is picking your battles. So pick the keywords you're going for and serve the intention of them. Next up is hook the readers. make sure that when they land on the page, they know what they're in for. When they first open the screen, they should see how long it's going to take them to read it. They should have a compelling hook and introduction, and then that should lead them into getting straight to the point. Otherwise, it's easy to lose people and they'll just click back and find something else, which actually harms your search engine optimization. And then as another point is make sure that your title hooks them. Make sure your meta description that you see when people are searching and see the results on search engines hook them. Because, you know, the further down the page you go, the less people that search for a specific term are going to find you. So it's really just front loading for that human experience. Yeah, those are, I guess, the first things I'd look at. Obviously, you want to share good information. You want to be unique. You want to have language that's avoiding fluff so that people can get their answers. All that stuff's important. But at the end of the day, humans have a short attention span. We're like fish these days. So play to that and you're well on your way to winning.
I think fish has been noted that fish have a longer attention span than humans.
I just realized how much we're talking about fish today. I didn't mean for it to be that way, but
you know, fish and fishing, you know, it's an analogy for life, really, isn't it? I mean, you know, it sometimes can be you know, similar in the way that fish go about in schools as, you know, as humans go about in tribes, and you know, fishing is, you know, how we're doing our marketing against, you know, fishing for as a sport. So, you know, the analogies work.
Perfect.
Callum, where can people find you if they want to talk to you further, or indeed work with you, or find out about the Reforestation Fund?
So I hang out a lot on LinkedIn. Search Callum Armstrong, I should come up. For content marketing, if you are a B2B service, go to pasteandpublish.com and you'll find all the details there. We have a coaching program called Evergreen Leads, where we help you to turn your website into a 24/7 customer getting machine that you own and build your team and get results that you own into the future. If you want to learn about the Reforestation Fund, go to www.thereforestationfund.com. That will be rebranding soon, but if you go to that, it'll direct you to that when it changes. So those are the best ways if you'd like to work with me. I'm happy to have a look at your website, give you some free advice and tips, and no pressure, no obligation. If we both feel like it's a good fit, we can work together. But there's just one other thing I'd like to share, and I talked a lot at the start of this call about how it's important to actually know the needs and problems of your ideal customers. And I see this so often with businesses, especially when it's done DIY, that we can easily talk at our customers instead of speaking to what's in it for them. And the first stage in getting the right messaging is talking to your customers and interviewing them and understanding their needs. I built a free toolkit called the Customer Interview Toolkit, and it has a list of questions, you know, steps, tips, guides, everything you need to conduct great customer interviews so you've got the right foundation for success. I'm happy to give it for free. There's no email sign up required, none of that stuff. It's just a Google Doc. Would you like that?
Absolutely, yeah. If you'd like to share that link with me,
Cool.
later on, and I will actually put that in the show notes for people.
Fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. Callum, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. If you were to share some tidbit of wisdom, what would that be?
I think in a marketing context is just respect the attention of your users and help them. Just genuinely try to help, because people see beyond the sales pitch. You know, they might nod and smile, but everyone's thinking, what's in it for me? And when I've tried to do a hard sell to someone or tried to squeeze an extra dollar, the trust in our relationship has eroded, or I've just lost the sale and wasted time. When I've genuinely tried to help people, it's almost always resulted in success that I've built the back of my business and reputation off. And yeah, if you help people, not everyone's going to become your friend or your customer or your team member, but if you keep doing that, you know, it's really hard not to succeed.
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree with that. I think offering help is foremost, and you do that and you're on a winning formula, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you, Rose.
And thank you for joining me, Callum. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.